Finally, an answer to the age-old question, which comes first, the chicken or the egg roll? Easy! Just eat whichever one's closest. The Sensation Salad and Filet Sandwich Meal are back at Zaxby's. Both feature our famous hand-breaded chicken, crispy wontons, Asian slaw, and citrus vinaigrette. And each comes with its very own egg roll for a limited time only at Zaxby's. Order ahead, drive-thru, or get it delivered.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source. Use that promo code Warchant30 for 30 free days of access. I wonder if Robert Cooper celebrated the victory, although he wasn't on the field, by going to Zaxby's, maybe getting some grilled chicken to put on his salad. I'll have to find out about that, Corey. What would you put your betting odds on that Robert Cooper spent Saturday night living it up at his favorite area, Zaxby's?
I would say it's probably I'd say an 80% chance, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think? I mean, he's a Zaxby. He's Zaxby's through and through. That kid's Zaxby's in his blood. So yeah.
Winners win. Corey, so here we are, man. The Renaissance. It's begun. Victory over Jacksonville State, 41-24 because of a missed extra point. Let's clean that stuff up there, guys. Come on. We can't leave anything out on the field. Make all the plays you possibly can. 41-24. A little bit of an interesting observation here, Corey. So Tate Rodmaker started the game and didn't finish the game, but he will go down in the record books as being the starting quarterback in the first victory for Mike Norvell at Florida State. Do you, Corey Clark, do you know who was the starting quarterback in Bobby Bowden's first victory for Florida State? It's tough. I mean, if you know this, it'd be total walk off.
No, I don't think. Give me the initials. I can take a shot if I get the initials.
Okay. Yeah, well, ironically enough, JB.
JB.
And there's a similar color thrown in there.
No.
Jimmy Black.
Jimmy Black. Okay.
Jimmy Black.
All right. Okay. I should know that. I apologize, Jimmy Black, and to all of Jimmy Black's family. I should know that.
That's hilarious when I'm thinking about it now. James Blackman, Jimmy Black.
Yeah.
But here's the even more interesting thing about this, Corey. Do you realize that Jimmy Black started that game? However, he was benched in the second quarter for another quarterback who then spurred the sudden rally, in the words of the great late Bill McGrotha. Do you know who that quarterback was?
No, you could give me the initials. I might give it a try.
CW.
Charlie Whitehurst.
Bingo.
Casey Weldon.
No, most.
Chris Winkie.
No, you're getting there. Clyde Walker.
No, never heard of Clyde Walker.
Yeah.
Apologies again. I've heard of Jimmy Black. That name rung a bell, but Clyde Walker I had never heard. So who'd they beat? Who was Bowden's first win against?
Kansas State.
Okay, and what was their record? What was their record when they got it? 0-4?
Florida State was 0-3 going into that game.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. Took him his fourth crack on it. What great names on this, by the way, on the 76 roster, such as Gator Cherry, as well
Gator
as
Cherry. Wow.
Ivory Joe Hunter.
Okay.
Strong name as well. So Detroit Reynolds, one of my favorite linebackers of that era. Edinburgh Richardson, a good tight end. To the present day, though, 41-24. Tate Rodmaker gets the start. Jordan Travis credited with the victory. Let's just start off because I don't want to keep coming back to it. Obviously, it's an FCS team. We realize that moving forward in this show, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not going to qualify it nearly as much as you guys might want us to. I wrote a column where I was like, I had to praise Jordan Travis because of what he did. It was great. And I felt like I had to almost qualify it too much. Like, I understand we know who they played. We know it won't look the same against Notre Dame. But it hasn't looked that way against – they played similar caliber teams to Jacksonville State in the last few years, and it hasn't looked like that. They haven't gone on 34-3 runs quite like that. So you can still take positives away from it, even if you realize and obviously understand and admit that it's Jacksonville State.
I wanted to pull up the 2019 game. Maybe it'd be easier if I just went to ESPN. But, yeah, I mean, just the fact of the matter that this offense went 5 straight possessions with touchdowns. I don't want to oversell it, but I don't want to underplay it either. That's just the fact that this offense with a quarterback that seems to – I don't even know if really Jordan Travis knows the ins and outs of this offense front and back either. That's kind of the encouraging thing. And for the sort of dynamics, tool set that he has, it's not like that was Michael Vick back there either. So, I mean, the fact that a guy that, is a pretty good runner, probably, adequate as a passer, was able to guide this offense to 5 straight touchdown drives against, an FCS team, whatever. That's an encouraging. That's all you could really ask for from this offense. Leaving this game, they scored 40 points. We laughed at that, I think, on Friday when we did the happy hour, when people were asking us for score predictions. They're like, "Come on, somebody predict 40." And I was like, "Yeah, come on, relax. We're kind of limited here with what we're working with." An extremely encouraging sort of development for the offense. Kind of bummed we didn't get to see Chuba. I just wonder. I think Jordan's a stopgap more than a savior. But what a great moment for him in the program right now. Because, again, it was the last question I think Ira asked. I think that was part of his post-game thoughts. It was just this team, the way they've played, even the wins they've had, nothing's come easy. And this is no different. But they were cruising for a long bit. And I think that's the kind of the way you would notch your first win, to be beneficial, but also to breed confidence going to a tough game against Notre Dame.
Yeah, so I just looked it up. So I think Florida State finished with like 520 yards of offense. They had 460 yards in 7 drives. Those were all 7 by, Jordan Travis came in, 7 plays, 73 yards. Next drive, 13 plays, 75 yards. Next drive, 3 plays, 63 yards. Next drive, 12 plays, 78 yards. Next drive, 10 plays, 90 yards. So we had 73, 75, 63, 78, 90, and then his last drive was an 88-yard drive. Man, we have not seen that. It has not mattered. This offense has not been good enough to string together one of those types of drives in a game against anyone, against air. So for them to have, 6 drives over 63 yards in 5 drives over at 75 or more, I don't know that that's happened since Jameis was here. And first-year Jameis, not second-year Jameis, because none of those games were a breeze either. Now, I don't think the qualifier here is not that, oh, my gosh, the sky's the limit. They're about to take off. Watch out, Fighting Irish.
We're climbing.
You better hope you have COVID, because you don't want any part of this offense. You don't want to play this game. We're not saying that. But what you can see is, this was the point I made after the game in a couple in my column, and then also on the post game show and in the wrap we did. Man, I was everywhere after the big win.
You were on the post game call-in show with Gene Williams and Tom Lang?
I was for about 10 minutes. Did a 10-minute hit on that. Oh man,
grief,
I was everywhere. I'm ubiquitous. So if we think that Chuba is the future, like maybe the end of this year, certainly next year, okay. From all indications, he's faster than Jordan Travis, a bit stronger, a bit bigger, has a better arm, and is more accurate. So Jordan Travis ran that offense really well. You can see what this offense can look like with a guy that knows what he's doing and runs it quickly. That kind of offense, they really catered it to him. They did almost all exclusively zone read stuff.
And I try to give Mike Norvell credit for it in the postgame. I'm like, how difficult was it to, what changed in the game plan with Jordan Travis coming in? Because there's no way what they had planned for Tate to do is what they had Jordan do.
No, it did look completely different, because he is not a threat running the ball, and neither is James Blackman. You see what that means to an offense. You see how all of a sudden there are a little more lanes for the running backs. The offensive line looks better. You cannot account for that quarterback. He did a really good job. I thought he did a really good job, especially in short yardage, of getting tough yards, and that just made the running backs look better too. And all of a sudden, you're starting to see more holes because they have to account for the quarterback. And then, you can hit Terry over the top. And he should have hit him for another one, for an 80-yard touchdown, because they were so cognizant of the running game, which, again, hasn't been a deal around here since probably, the South Florida game in 16, where they could run the ball like that. But my point is, you saw what it looked like with Jordan Travis running it. Now, if we think Chuba has all those attributes that Jordan does, but is better, Maybe not this year, but next year. Well, that should get you excited because that thing wasn't being stopped. And if you have a quarterback, Travis is a nice runner, but maybe his 7-yard run turns into a 22-yard run with Chubba Purdy. Maybe that throw to Terry, the throw to Terry, both of them are touchdowns with the quarterback that can put it right where it needs to be, can lead him a little bit more, has a bit stronger arm. That's what I think should be exciting moving forward. Is we finally saw this offense. We finally saw what these coaches can do with a quarterback that is running what they want to run and can see what they want him to see. Like the plays where Travis is pulling it out and throwing it to the wideout, man, those are simple 8-yard plays. But by gosh, this offense hasn't been able to get simple 8-yard plays in a long time. So, again, all of that is encouraging. And maybe Jordan Travis is the answer. I don't want to besmirch the guy or say that he can't get it done. I'm grading on the curve because of what we've seen the last few years and also because of who the opponent was. But I do think that he has a chance, right? He has a chance at least to be your quarterback for the majority of the rest of this season. It's not going to look like it did against Jacksonville State against these other teams, but he still is somebody you have to account for. And I think what we saw, the biggest thing we saw from him is if you're open, he can put it on you. We had been led to believe by the previous coaching staffs, good grief, this guy must not be able to throw it. He couldn't get a ball wet if he fell out of a boat. And now we see, okay, no, those were good throws. Like the throw to Helton, I know Ira said that he was late with it, and he was to an extent. Well, it was good enough.
Yeah.
He got it there. There was a guy running free, and he got it to him. Tamorian Terry was running free, and he put that right on him. He threw that 55 yards in the air. That's plenty good enough as a thrower if you're going to be able to be dynamic with your legs too, and you're able to open up the running game. So I was really encouraged knowing who the opponent was. I was still really encouraged by what I saw from Jordan Travis, and kudos to that guy, man. That was a really solid performance.
Keyshawn Helton should have had 2 of the easiest touchdowns this season, and he had to really work for both of them. Like that first one against Georgia Tech should have been a piece of cake. The one against Jacksonville State, but nonetheless, great for Keyshawn to actually get up and make those plays.
But what a great play too. I think that was 2nd and 1. They had just run down their throats. Nobody expects Jordan Travis to throw it. He rolls out, rolls to his right, throws back left. Your guy's open like he won his one-on-one. He's open like he's supposed to be. Not the best throw, but good enough, and a great play call. It was an aggressive play call. It's good to see, man.
So it's okay if he rolls to the right? You're all right with him rolling to the right?
Yes. Rolling to the right like out of a bootleg play action set? Sure, my man. Not just because, hey, that's been a couple seconds. I got to roll to right and cut down the field.
Let's pause real quick to talk about our over-under winners from this past week. Corey, I think I smudged it. I think I've got a leg up on you. I think I went 2 up on you here.
Oh, boy.
Let's go ahead and revisit everything that was sent out by the Williams Sportsbook this past weekend. It was a nice little way for me to grade it. It was easy. The first one was over. Everything else was under except for the final one. So our winners, we actually had 3 people who aced it. Bud Fox 64, Noel Daco 9, who I think won last week, and Marnol 55. And then our runner-ups, Mad AMCZ, a pillar of the program, and Random _ John. They went 5 out of 6. OBX also went 5 out of 6, but we only get 5 winners. Anyhow, Lawrence Toafili rushing yards, 57.5. We both said over. We both were correct.
We crushed that. They couldn't get him one more yard for the 100.
I know, poor guy. I'll probably ask Norvell on that on Monday, whether or not he keeps tabs on that, if that bothers him or not. I'll also ask him about the Tomahawks. Everybody keeps asking us about Tomahawks, so we'll ask him about the Tomahawks.
Okay, all right.
James Blackman snaps 20.5. We both said over. We both were incorrect.
Oh, no. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
He had, I don't know if anybody was keeping score at home, but he had 0.
Right. And as we record this program, he's still with the team. So I don't know, I don't know if he might be upset. Maybe some transfer portal rumors or something might happen we're recording this very early on Sunday, everybody. So if you came here for some sort of breaking news, potentially, sorry. FSU defense, tackles for loss, 9.5. We both said under. We were correct.
Yep. Okay.
Warren Thompson catches 2.5. You said over. I said under.
Boy. And he didn't even play.
He did not. But he was cheering his teammates on from the sideline, as was James Blackman. Marvin Wilson, Pro Football Focus grade 82.5. You said over, I said under, and it was indeed under. Let me pull it up here. I know it was like it was in the 70s or something like that. So he hit 74.3 was his defensive grade.
Who was the highest graded defender?
Guess. Come on, man. Your boy, Asante.
Asante?
Yeah.
All right.
79.6.
Oh, geez, man. Well, then, so was Marvin like third?
Fifth. Fabian Lovett second. Jarian Jones third.
Okay.
Kando fourth.
Oh, our man Kando can do.
Yeah, he's coming through there. And then, let me see, where was the last one? The last one, total points scored 53.5. You said over? Did I say under? I'll give you that. I think I might have said under. It's smudged.
Oh, okay. I thought I said under, too, to be honest with you.
No, you're right. You're definitely on the over. I think we agreed on that
good.
one. We agreed on that because you were like, well, we're agreeing on everything. I'm like, no, man, we had some disagreement.
Okay, good.
So now I'm 3 up on you for the season. So.
Oh. Well,
it's all right, man. I was up on you like 9 going into November.
I'll turn it on.
Remember November. Corey Clark is all about remember November. Yeah. So shout out to our winners. Marvin Wilson, 74.3 was his grade coming back in the second half. Let's maybe talk a little bit about defense. I don't know how good to feel about the defense after the game. I definitely didn't feel that good Saturday evening, Saturday night. But as we record this on Sunday afternoon, you kind of start massaging the numbers a little bit. Jacksonville State was 3 of 10 on third down. You know, they surrendered 24 points, but one of those was a pick six. They only allowed a field goal. The only score that Jacksonville State got in the second half was a field goal. And I don't know how much of it just having a functioning offense can maybe help hide this defense, maybe let them play with a little bit more confidence, keeping them off the field, obviously a good thing. Plus, a lot of the Jacksonville State points, obviously first quarter, shorter fields, Alex Mastromanno, bit inconsistent punting the ball. I think the defense also kind of put the foot in front of the other in a decent fashion. Not as good as the offense. I'm not as bullish about the defense as I am the offense right now, but some stuff that still bothers a lot of people. You don't like them playing off the ball so much, but I think there was some stuff to build off of. Josh Kando, I thought, played quite well. That was nice to see.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see him against somebody else, but it was okay. I have a hard time understanding why it's so easy, why they make so many throws so easy. Like kids are gonna make passes, and every school, even the Jacksonville States, have skill guys. They can go make plays, and the quarterback was pretty good. But by gosh, he was 14 out of 16 at one point.
Yeah,
well, that's just too easy, man. And once you realize, okay, because I'm not going to give the defensive line a lot of slack for not getting sacks. They were getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands very, very quickly. There was no time to get to him. They probably made a mistake in that regard because without Marvin Wilson, they had a little more time than they probably realized they would and could have called some deeper developing routes. But they didn't. They were all short routes, short, quick passes. I don't understand when you see a team doing that routinely and relentlessly, you don't try to adjust. And maybe they did in the second half. Maybe that was the difference. But after their after Florida State ties the game 21-21 on the LaDainian Webb. Great run, by the way, that guy.
Man.
That was a SportsCenter top 10, that run.
Well, deservingly so. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and then they immediately give up a 71-yard drive, which you give up a couple, just the easiest passes you could ever see. And some of those are breakdowns, and some of those I think are just guys scared to get beat. So, and I like Asante. I think he's one of the best cornerbacks in the country. He's certainly one of the best players on this football team. I was getting frustrated watching him play 8 yards off a guy and then still backpedal. Well, man, literally, if you're playing me, if I'm lined out wide, now, number one, you better play back.
Right.
If you're playing me. If you get up on me, sorry, it's deuces. And I won't be one of those guys that flashes the deuces and gets caught from behind either. I take it to the house before I flash the deuces. But if you're playing anyone and you're 8 yards off and you back up, well, God, you're giving them 7 yards, man. So now it's 2nd and 3. And that happened 3 or 4 times in that game. It's one of the reasons Asante led the team in tackles because they kept throwing to the guy that he wasn't covering because he was too far back. Now, when he played up, they didn't do anything against him. And he was really good. And he had a great interception reading that route and dropping back in zone and making that play. That's a really, really nice play. The swing passes to the running backs where Akeem Dent goes with the wide receiver inside instead of staying where I guess he should, or Emmett Rice gets blocked or Emmett Rice gets picked. But either way, Akeem Dent's got to read that, and Emmett Rice has got to read that and get to where they need to be. It's literally a swing pass that goes for 35 yards, just a 3-yard pass. That's just too easy, man. It's too easy. And against good teams, those are going to turn into touchdowns. So that was frustrating. But I thought the defensive line did play better. Again, they were playing Jacksonville State. I said I wasn't going to qualify, but I'm qualifying every statement I make. They did get a push. I thought Marvin was good when he played. I thought Kane Doe was good for the stretches that he flashed a few times and did get in there, even though the guy was getting rid of the ball too quickly. But overall, it was an okay performance. It was certainly something to build on as opposed to what happened in Miami.
Well, they played stronger as the game went on, but I don't know how much of that is just Jacksonville State maybe getting worn down, having not played a game, having not.
Yeah, but you don't want to take that away from them, right? Like after their they had the 69-yard touchdown. So they obviously 7 of the points were given to them by Rodemaker, who that's one of the worst pick sixes that has ever been thrown. I'd put it up there with the Weatherford pick six against Boston College right before the half. I don't know what year that was. One of the Weatherford years, 06, 05. So. Just a terrible decision. Well, it was a ridiculous play call. You're trying to run out the clock. Why are you throwing a long out? But also, yeah, it was just not a good throw. But it was an awful play by Rodemaker. I honestly, I might have thought about pulling him then. Like, okay, we didn't give you a great play. He was not open, whoever you were supposed to throw to. And you did not see that dude at all, and you just gave that team 7 points.
And it was the softest throw.
Yeah,
like there was he put no zip on him. Like, this is an out you're throwing.
Yeah, and the guy that he was throwing to was well covered anyway and wasn't going to make the catch. So it was a really alarming play.
Well, the first snap, he fumbled it, but they got bailed out on the offside?
That was a bad snap. It wasn't yes, he still should have caught it, but it was at his ankles. It was a baby on special.
Sorry, I don't want to beat up on Tate. Sorry, Paul.
But I would have thought about it like, man, that would have given me great pause immediately. And then once he missed, and we can say that Portier dropped that ball. Come on, man. There has not been a more wide open Florida State player this season. You've got to put that on him. He doesn't need to be making a sprawling catch in that spot. He doesn't need to be arms extended on a fastball when there's nobody in the vicinity. So I think that was the last straw. Was like, man, it was a great play call. He's wide open in the middle of the field. Rodemaker whistles it 100 miles an hour, not accurately, and it deflects off his hands when it should have been a 25 or 30-yard gain. Yeah, that was obviously the last straw because Travis came in after that. I guess it might go down as a drop, but you got to help your receiver out there and put it on. You could have literally shot-putted it to him, and it would have been a 25-yard game. But anyway, going back to the defense real quick, I did think that I thought, after the first drive that Jacksonville State had, they had a 3-and-out, a 5-and-out, one more touchdown because, of course. Then they had that field goal, the 9-play, 71-yard drive. But after that, it was a 4-play punt, 3-play punt, 4-play interception, 8-play, 61 yards, and then they lost it on downs. But that was against a bunch of reserves when it was 41-24. So I thought with the game in the balance, again, we know the opponent. With the game in the balance, I thought they played much better.
People were asking about where did Amari Gaynor go in the game. He played 32 of a possible 58 snaps. He was the lowest graded starter on defense, 57.7. People ask, somebody posted on Friday, Aslan, Corey, why do you guys pretty much focus on changes at quarterback? Why don't we use Lundy as a power back? Why don't we talk about changes on defense? Why don't you ask Fuller about putting a linebacker that can move, maybe blah, 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 blah. Maybe use use Durden or Marv, strong side defensive end like we did Mario Edwards Jr. I think I saw some of that.
Yeah, they would do that when they go 3 down. Marvin's a defensive end, essentially. They move him to the left defensive end. At least they did on Saturday.
Yeah. DJ Lundy played 11 snaps. He graded out at 54. That was 27 out of 31 guys that played. Steven Dix Jr. was 30 out of 31. He graded 39.6 on snaps that were in a run. That were running plays from Jacksonville State.
Well, their first touchdown, that 20-yard touchdown around left end. You had 2 true freshmen on the field, and I'm all for it. They got to learn, but Griffiths gets basically pancaked by the tackle, and then Steven Dix, I don't know what he's trying to do. I think he sees an alleyway and tries to shoot through instead of running parallel to the line of scrimmage, and maybe stopping it for a 4-yard loss. He tries to shoot through an alleyway to, like, I guess make a 6-yard loss in the backfield. He gets caught up in the mass of humanity, and so those two freshmen allowed a 20-yard touchdown run. There's no way that Steven Dix's responsibility isn't to go with the back, but he tried to do a shortcut and those are the lessons. Like, you like, again, that he's aggressive and he's trying to trigger and go downfield, but those are the lessons you learn as a true freshman. And he did not play well at all. But yeah, they're not going to play well all the time. That's not how it works.
Bottom 5 on defense was Lundy, Fagan, Griffiths, Dix Jr., and McClendon. Also, I think it's Miami Wiesnells. I'll ask him about why don't we use Lundy as a power back on short yardage or goal line. They did, so that's we should have asked. So good on you.
And I'll tell you one thing, and it's kind of been the way all year. They've been. I'll have to go back and look at the numbers, but I feel like they've been pretty darn good at short yardage.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with. Look, I guess we can talk about the running backs now. I think everybody that watches Florida State football realizes that there are two perhaps dynamic players in the backfield. One wears number 8 and one wears number 9. I think those guys both have a chance. They both made some pretty wow plays in the first couple weeks of the season. The guy that wears number 0 doesn't. He doesn't have that in him. I don't think he's dynamic. I don't think he's special necessarily. But what he does very well, and it is a commodity, trust me, you've watched this program long enough, he'll fall forward. You know, there's a reason when they're near the goal line or they're in short yardage, they snap him the ball directly sometimes because they trust him to be powerful enough, even with not a great offensive line, to run through a defender or at least fall through a defender to get the first down. And he's done that really well. I mean, Corbin is what he is. He's not going to make you forget Dalvin Cook or Cam Akers, but he has a role on this team. And I think short yardage, powerful runner, maybe if you have a lead late, you can give it to him and let him run some clock and burn some clock. I think he has a role on this team. But, man, 8 and 9, I think they both have a chance to be really good.
I wonder if Jay Sean – I'm worried about Jordan holding up through the course of the season, like durability issues. I wonder if Jay Sean will – like if he'll – because I've never really believed in this whole thing that you get healthier as the season comes along. I mean, there's like this sort of belief like you can work your way back into shape. You can actually get more healthy. I don't understand how that works with you getting banged up. But with him undergoing that hamstring injury, I wonder if he's one of those guys that maybe he'll just start running stronger as the year goes on. Maybe he'll get a little more comfortable. But, yeah, I mean, good grief. LaDamian Webb, who did not play against Miami, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he did not.
And then Lawrence Toafili. Let me give some comps. People like comps. Comparisons, what we call it in the biz.
Right.
LaDamian Webb reminds me of like Doug Martin from Boise State, played for the Bucks for a while, like the muscle hamster, just like a bowling ball of butcher knives.
I think the guy on the broadcast yesterday, I don't know who was the color analyst. Do you know?
James Bates, former Gator.
He compared him, I think, to Maurice Jones-Drew.
Okay, that works too, I guess. Yeah. I was thinking Doug Martin, a little more muscular. You know.
No, yeah, sure.
MJD was a little more soft. Not soft as like a soft mentality, but just wasn't like all jacked up like Doug Martin. And Lawrence Toafili, poor man's Reggie Bush. There, I said it.
Oh, boy.
Poor man's Reggie Bush.
Okay, how poor are we talking? Like destitute?
Condo. No, like a condo. You know.
Oh, okay. But he's in debt.
Yes.
Okay. All right. He's probably spent a little beyond his means. Okay, I see what you're saying. All right. Like most of the world, most of the country.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you guys can all relate. You guys know it's a average. So he's an average man's Reggie Bush.
Sure.
Okay.
I used to think poor man's X was like was a compliment. If somebody was like, "Hey, Aslan, you're a poor man's Ryan Russillo," I'd be like, "That's cool. All right, I'm cool with that. I'll take that." But then again, I got the bar set low over here. Running backs, though, yeah, I guess part of that, too, feeds into the fact that this offensive line started getting a little bit better throughout the game. And it was, I kind of want to ask Norvell that on Monday, just how much of them moving guys around was out of necessity or was curiosity. Man, they were moving like Devontae Love-Taylor all over the place. By the way, he graded out second best offensively on the team behind Jordan Travis. So he's been a great.
What did Travis grade out at?
Jordan Travis graded out 84.9. How many beers have you been drinking? Keep flipping your bottle cap. Tone it down over there.
Sorry, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Man, this mic is too good. I haven't been drinking any. I drank some last night, obviously, to celebrate the big win. Yeah. And I still got a couple bottle caps over, and, I'm just fidgety. Yeah. So I apologize, dear listener. I'm not drinking on the job.
Yeah, you're good. Actually, I apologize. Love Taylor was third. Pokey Pokey had a good game. He was second graded, top graded out. Jordan Travis was 84.9.
So compare that again, dear listener, with I believe James Blackman was the lowest graded player on the team against Miami.
That is correct.
Correct? At least on the offense, lowest graded offensive player. And then you go the very next week, and your highest.
He was. I'm sorry, I just totally interrupted you there.
You sure did.
James was 48.8. He was the lowest graded. Not starter. Jordan Travis, actually. Maybe they redid the grades, but at one point he was graded out lowest. But Jordan Travis graded out lowest against Miami, 39.8. Sorry to torpedo your
That's all right.
point.
So you go from a 48.8 in the lowest graded starter on the team at the most important position to your most important position being the highest graded person on the team. That's not a coincidence that all of a sudden points and first downs and yards come.
And it's why we focused on talking about quarterback.
It is the position. And again, it changes everything. It makes an average, it makes a bad offensive line average. It makes an average offensive line good. That's the impact that a good quarterback that makes decisions quickly and makes the right decisions quickly can have. Again, I'm not saying that Jordan Travis is that guy, but for one game, he played the position better than it's been played since, I would guess, maybe one of those games of Francois' freshman year. That's the best quarterback to game Florida State has had since at least 2016, right?
Well, what about the Independence Bowl? Southern Miss.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the
Regular
best quarterback
season game.
regular season game, I should say.
Thank you.
Yeah, I looked that game up. I didn't remember this. They ran for over 300 yards in that game. Florida State did.
Well, the Independence Bowl?
Yeah, they just mollywalked them.
Yeah, Cam went nuts. Everybody went nuts. Everybody got some.
So, and that's it, man. Like, when you have a quarterback that plays well, just celebrate it. You saw what it looked like. You saw what teams around the country get to feel every week. Iowa State, they have a guy that plays the position well almost every week, and they know he's going to play well. They trust him. He puts them in position to succeed. Go down the line, all of them. Every school has a guy that isn't the worst starter playing quarterback. And when your worst starter is your quarterback, you can't function. As we saw, they scored 23 points in 2 weeks. And again, 14 of those points were scripted drives coming out of a half. So all of a sudden you put in a guy that apparently doesn't have a script because he wasn't supposed to play, or at least play a lot. And he sees it, he feels it, he gets a little confidence. As you pointed out, he was smiling and laughing and having fun. When James Blackman plays, it's like torture for all of us, but mostly him. Like, he just did not seem to enjoy it. He didn't have a lot of fun. Now, a lot of that is because he was always on his back, but it was torture. It became torture for him, and you can't play that way. So hopefully Chubba's got a little bit of that in him too, where he's just kind of a fun-loving dude and enjoys it and enjoys the competition, because I think we both think that he's probably the future moving forward.
Yep.
Unless Jordan Travis plays like that. Like, he threw the ball well enough to win games. And isn't that always been the concern? That his arm can't play at this level? Well, now we know it can. Well, maybe not. Maybe we got to see it against an ACC opponent. But now we know he can if he's taking the surefire throw. Like, the throws he made out wide, those aren't the easiest throws in the world to make. And we've seen that too. And he was hitting those guys in stride. I know they're only a yard down the line, but those are important plays because he hits them in a way where they can go and get 7 yards quickly. And that's all you got to do. If you can do that and occasionally take a shot over the top and hit that, the rest of the stuff can be with number 8, number 9, and 13 running wild from the backfield. I think that's a nice recipe moving forward, at least until Chubb is healthy.
What do you think happens on the offensive line if Darius Washington can't go? Because he left the game, he got rolled up on. Baselli didn't get rolled up on. A guy tried to tackle whoever it was, Toafili or Webb, and he whiffed and just went face first, like face mask first, right into the back of Baselli's leg. Baselli did come back in that game. Baselli started. I don't know what they're doing on the offensive line. Dante Lucas didn't start. Maurice Smith didn't start. Maurice Smith eventually got into the game. I don't know if Lucas. I should probably look at that up. I don't think.
Yeah,
Dante
look and
got
make
in
sure,
the
but
game.
I don't think he played. I know on the wrap-up show, Gene thought he had seen him in the game, but I don't remember ever seeing him in the game.
Yeah, they don't have him here, and I'm going to pull up the participation chart from the Seminole website. Yeah, he started week 1, week 2, doesn't even play week 3.
Yeah, so but he dressed.
Yeah,
and he
was
did go through
engaged.
warm-ups.
He was engaged on the TV
he was.
feed. You could see him with the behind Alex Atkins.
And I meant to say there was a moment, because you brought it up earlier. There was a moment in the game, I think third quarter, maybe second quarter, when things weren't going well. But like the whole offense was gathered around, all 35 guys were gathered around Norvell, and I think Atkins was in there too. Mm-hmm. And Warren Thompson wasn't. Warren Thompson walked up to it late and got in there. But I noticed him not being a part of that, not being involved. And now that obviously might have been because he was told he wasn't going to play. And so why be in there? But Dante Lucas had probably already been told he wasn't going to play either. For a violation of team rules, you have to suspect. Maurice Smith, I think, missed the first half for the same violation, or a similar violation, but he did play in the second half. But he was suspended for the first half, it would appear. But again, Dante Lucas, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, eye of the beholder. Even though you're suspended, you already let your team down, man, by whatever happened. But you're still engaged enough to be talking to guys, to still trying to coach them, to help them. So that's a good sign after an awful one. But then, Warren Thompson, nowhere. When is it going to break through? Are his days like James Blackman? Like, yeah, you can show up and be on the sidelines, but you're not getting in the game? Because I think that's where we are with Blackman, unless there's a rash of injuries. I don't know that Blackman, because it's not like they even thought for a second to go back to him. Even down 14-0 to an FCS school where your true freshman had thrown a pick six and the other kid hadn't practiced all week, they still went with the kid that hadn't practiced all week. So that's where the James Blackman is now on the depth chart, is Warren Thompson in a similar place. And quite honestly, is that bad news for Florida State? Because I don't think it is. I think what you do is you run Terry. You have Terry, who played well, man.
Shorten the bench, man. Shorten the bench. There was, I think, only 4 receivers caught a pass.
Yeah. Yep. Terry and Pokey. You go with the where are they from again?
Ashburn.
You go with the Ashburn duo, and you throw Keyshawn in there.
Yep.
And you're using your running backs, and you're using Cam McDonald, and that's where you go. Sorry, man. Jordan Young, that was a nice catch he made. Maybe he gets some run too, but shorten it. And Dante Lucas, man, it's time, dude. Like I appreciate that you're stepping up. You played awful against Miami. We're a disaster against Miami. You're supposed to be the best lineman. You're supposed to be the guy that they can build around. Devontae Love-Taylor is clearly the best lineman on this team right now.
Yes.
But Dante Lucas should be making strides. And instead, he has his worst game. He's played a lot of football. He has his worst game of probably his career against Miami, and then seemingly gets benched for an important game. Norvell's first win, and he doesn't play a second. Man, it's got to be turned around. You only get one college experience, and you're too good to not make a difference, to not make an impact. And I'm speaking like this because I know Dante is a loyal listener.
The Pope.
Yeah, the Pope listens. So I'm trying to get through to him. A little tough love from Clark here. But yeah, man, it's time to step up and be a big time football player, because that's what you're supposed to be. That's what you were purported to be. That's what you have the potential to be. You just play not good at all against Miami, and then you have to set your bench for the next game. That should be embarrassing. And hopefully he comes back with a renewed attitude, because he could make a difference. And if you got Devontae Love, how did Scott do, by the way? How'd he grade out?
Which is great. He graded out 5th best, 71. Okay. And there's like that first drive that he went in, like the first touchdown drive, I think Ira tweeted out, I don't know what Robert Scott did, but he got a lot of love when he ran off the field. I mean, the play either went like the opposite direction of him, like he didn't look all that fast coming off the ball. I'm like, oh, this doesn't look that good. But he graded out really well. And he's going to probably, I would think, start if Darius Washington can't go. And Devontae Love-Taylor is your best offensive lineman. Robert Scott will probably play one of those other spots. Maurice Smith hopefully is atoned for whatever he's had to. He didn't grade all that well, though. I mean, Maurice Smith graded out 55.
Yeah, but he's been good. I don't know.
He has.
It's not like they struggled. It's not like they struggled with him in the game. They all they did was score touchdowns. Maybe he had a penalty, and I know they really hit you hard for penalties. and I think he had a hold.
Yeah.
And I think he also had a snap infraction. So I think he got really dinged up for those two. But I think he's proven that he can be pretty good.
Yeah.
Devontae Love-Taylor apparently is good,
Yeah.
and we think Robert Scott can be good. So you do have some building blocks here on the offensive line. You do start to see a little something. And if Dante has to join the fray, man, because we think you got something in Maurice Smith. We think you might have something in Scott. You know you have something in DLT. If Dante Lucas can be a guy, all of a sudden you go from having the worst offensive line in the Power 5 to at least being serviceable. And so that would be a nice change of pace to have a serviceable offensive line.
And now I'm looking at it. Love Taylor, Robert Scott, and Bavion played all 87 snaps.
There you go, boys. Big Baby getting after it.
Yeah. Didn't grade out that high though. He was second lowest.
Well, he doesn't. That's not. He's not a grader. He's more scoreboard oriented. He doesn't care about the grades. He cares about the scoreboard.
So, it will be interesting to see moving forward how the offensive line looks. People, kind of raise an eyebrow in the post game because Norvell said he was proud of the offensive line. But it's hard not to be when it's young guys, a whole bunch of guys moving around. You had to suspend 2 dudes, and then you go off and you run for, golly, what did they run for? 263 yards.
Yeah, and if you take away the 2 sacks, it was 288.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your quartet of runners, the 3 running backs and Travis, I think combined for like 259 yards rushing. Again, we can say whatever against whoever. They haven't done that against Air. They haven't been able to do that against like Rickards High School.
5 straight drives, touchdown drives, 5 straight.
Yeah. And none of them seemed like they were all easy, but other than the couple big plays, they were also they were workmanlike.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of 2nd and 3s, 3rd and 1s, 2nd and 4s. It was the first down yardage, hard running, enough of a lane to get through, and so nobody getting hit in the backfield. I don't know how many tackles for loss Jacksonville State had, but
2.
I know they went way down. Is that it?
Yeah, 2 for 23 yards.
That's it for tackles for loss, and those were the sacks. So those were Rodemaker. So other than that, once Jordan Travis came in the game, no tackles for loss. I guarantee you that hasn't happened since Jameis Winston was the quarterback. That this offensive line hasn't given up a single tackle for loss, that's crazy. So good for them. Again, part of that is the opponent. Part of that is the quarterback changes everything if you're mobile. If you're dynamic enough back there, it changes the way a defense plays you. It just does. They have to devote a guy to the quarterback. So that opens things up. And then also part of it, you hope, is that the offensive line is getting better.
Yeah. Florida State averaged 6.5 yards per play. They were 11 of 17 on 3rd and 4th down, 10 of 16 on 3rd, 1 for 1 on 4th down. That 4th one down was kind of close, a little too close for comfort, I feel like. At least it looked like on television, but I don't think
it was. Yeah, he got it by like a half yard. But again, that was
got it though. Got it.
And I don't want to kill. I'm not here to kill James Blackman. I don't think he gets that. I think I just don't. I think if he pulls it out of the running back right there, he sees a guy right at the first down marker and probably tries to run around him and is easily tackled behind and doesn't get to the marker. Jordan Travis sees the guy. He knows the guy didn't go for the fake, and it's him and the guy one-on-one, and he barrels into him. Now, he barely knocks him back at all. If he knocked him back a half an inch, maybe. But he did not get pushed back, and he got to where he had to go. And he did the same thing on the run to the first down marker on like 3rd and 6 in the 4th quarter. Remember when they reviewed it, and he got it by like 2 yards?
Yeah.
But it was crazy. I mean, I don't get the replay guy, man. What in the world? Does he get paid for the review? Because those were nuts. But literally 3 of the most inexplicable reviews of all time, and Nooney Murray and his grandmom were like, hey, but you can't review the touchdown in the opener against Virginia Tech? But yeah, so Jordan Travis gets to those first down markers. Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but you can't coach every yard. Sometimes there has to be some will. Sometimes there has to be some athletic ability and some talent. And Jordan Travis, on 3rd and 6, he scrambles to his left and gets 7.5 yards. And that has not been the case around here in a while. He knew where at least on Saturday, he knew where the marker was, and he got there. Or he was going to die trying.
Yeah.
Which, again, is good to see.
Definitely. All right, on the way out, I don't know if you were able to hop on the post game. You're always transcribing throughout the week, so it's tough for you to hop on and ask questions. And you did ask Mike Norvell a question about, I guess, discipline. 10 penalties on the night for 100 yards. Maybe some of these things, hopefully, is the last of them. I mean, you're never going to rid your team of selfish penalties. They happen. I just feel like they just can't happen frequently, and they can't happen in bad spots. He was all up Jarian Jones's, up in his kitchen after that.
Yep.
Also, I think Janaris might have jumped off sides on a play. They shot over to the sideline. You could see Norvell just pointing at his temple, like think, right. Like just totally mad. I mean, these behaviors take time to change. Hopefully, a win helps expedite it.
And there are aggressive penalties that I think you're okay with. Mickey Andrews was fine every now and again getting a personal foul for being too hard on a quarterback or too hard on a ball carrier. Like, that's part of football, and that was certainly part of football in the 90s. If you want to splatter a guy out of bounds, we don't coach that, but hey, at least it's an aggressive penalty. Not bright all the time, but depending on the opponent. But an unsportsmanlike, for I assume taunting, on a touchback in a 14-7 game against Jacksonville State is just beyond dumb. And Norvell lit into Jarian Jones, which is good. That's the right thing to do. But what makes him think that he should? Like, why? What is Jarian thinking? And do guys at Alabama do that kind of stuff? Maybe they do. Hey, by the way, good grief. Man, come on, A&M.
Hide that money, Jimbo. You better hide that money, Jimbo.
That kid completed 20 passes for like 420 yards. Again, of course, Alabama has like another incredible wide receiver trio, because why wouldn't they? But like, I don't know that they do that at Clemson and Alabama. You know what I mean? The good programs don't get unsportsmanlikes in a game against an FCS team on a kickoff. It's just, and I know J-Rob got a personal foul for roughing the quarterback. I didn't ever see the replay.
He karate chopped him in the head. Like, he put his hands up to try to deflect the pass, and when he was pushing his hands down, he hit him in the head. It was like illegal contact to the head, pretty much.
Okay, so but it wasn't like
it wasn't undisciplined. It was just kind of it was the Mickey Andrews stuff you're talking about.
It wasn't 2 seconds or 4 seconds after the play just to get a hit because you're frustrated. Like the McCray play. Like, that's just the stuff you want to see go away. The McCray play from Miami, the Jarian Jones play from Saturday. It's not a big play. I mean, they did go right down the field and score after it to make it 21-7. But it's just, what could you possibly be talking about when you're down 14-7 to Jacksonville State? What could the guy have said to you, or are you saying to him to warrant a flag? It's just bizarre. And maybe it was a terrible call. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he said, hey, man, great block. Probably not, though, because the ref immediately threw the flag. And Norvell rightly lit into him, and that's the stuff you've just got to get out of the program. And I'm not saying you got to get Jarian Jones out of the program. Yeah. I'm saying you've got to get that kind of mindset out of the program. And I don't know how you do it other than you just keep preaching it.
Jones is a transfer, though. I mean,
that's what's so crazy, right? Yeah, like, do they have players only meetings for the transfers? And like, look, this is what we do. I don't know what y'all do at Mississippi State, but this is what we do at Florida State.
Everybody needs a little knucklehead in them.
So here's what we do. If you're down 45-10, but you make a nice play to break up a touchdown pass, I want you to do the finger wag. That's the Florida State way. And then the next week when we're playing an FC, like, why is Jarian Jones? Jarian Jones is a good player.
Graded out, tied for second best off defensive grade, rather.
So, but I think with Florida State fans, or maybe it's just Florida State podcast hosts, that's the stuff, even in a win, where it really is kind of just a bit perplexing. And you just want to see it, that kind of stuff, go away. Like, celebrate when you're beating Clemson, or just celebrate big plays against other teams. Don't talk smack in the second quarter. Don't hurt your team by talk. It's bizarre. It's a bizarre decision that you don't like to see. But he certainly learned his lesson. You hope, because Norvell didn't let it go. Norvell, I mean, they had to cut away because he was saying not nice things to him on the camera. So it bothered Norvell, and that's why I asked him. Is because you told me that it had caught him saying not nice things to Jarian Jones. Yeah. And when you're trying to build a program from the ground up, maybe a hole in the ground up, you've got to start with stuff like that. That's what bad teams do. Bad teams get dumb penalties. Florida State still has a lot of that in them, even in a win.
All right, well, they got the win. First one since the Alabama State game, first one of the Mike Norvell era. Notre Dame up on Saturday. As of now, we'll see if that all does work out with COVID and then them not having played a game this past week. We'll speak to Mike Norvell at noon, as well as the coordinators we expect. So do stay connected to warchant.com. We'll have live updates via Corey Clark's transcription. And be on the lookout for Ira's 3-2-1, which is mandatory reading if you're a Florida State fan.
But
mandatory
not my
viewing.
column. Not my column.
Well, it's already in the bag. It's already been up for a while, right? By the time everyone sees it?
Yeah, probably. But
I just assume everybody's already read it. I mean, everyone.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's already seen the War Chant rap with you and Ira if they're
Right.
listening to this, and I assume they've already read your column.
Okay,
So
good.
I just,
All right,
I'm
thank
not
you.
trying to insult our
That would be
listeners.
insulting to assume that people hadn't read it already.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Hit the thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube. We would appreciate that. And, we'll be back tomorrow for another full edition of the show. Again, stay connected to warchant.com. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.